How about Bill Belichick, the greatest of all time, and we are seeing his demise right before our very eyes? Because Bill Belichick is a great. He's a legend. Don't take my word for it. Take Aaron Rodgers' word for it, who has to play him this coming week. Aaron Rodgers says he's the best coach of all time. He's a legend, a living legend, and he's been ahead of the game for a long time. But if he's the greatest of all time, then why is he struggling so severely right now? Think about this, America. With Tom Brady, Bill Belichick was on a whole nother level. I'm talking about 6 Super Bowls. I'm talking about playoff appearances, AFC champion 9 times. But then without Tom Brady, he's 18-18 in the regular season with a big goose egg when it comes to playoff wins. Bill Belichick, the greatest ever. He looks very confused. His quarterback coach is a special teams coach that was a failed head coach. His offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator that was a failed head coach. So Bill Belichick, as great as he is and as great as he has been, we may be witnessing the demise of one of our all-time greats. But I got to go to the desk and ask Shady McCoy, you're a great in your own right, not a coach, but as a player. How much trouble is Bill Belichick in?
Belichick is in a lot of trouble. Listen, I've been saying this for years, right? Myself and other great players have talked about this. Bill Belichick with the Patriots, with Tom Brady, is a whole nother level. They are. But Tom Brady's not there. You see the real Belichick. Can't win no games. Ugh. They struggling. They look bad.
Terrible.
All the greats talk about, he's one of the best coaches of all time. He's the greatest. Do you see it? I don't see it. Do you guys see it? Seriously, I don't see it at all. The thing is, soon Tom Brady left, I knew what would happen. I knew they wouldn't be a good football team, right? And then when they do go to the playoffs for the first time since Tom Brady left, what did they do? They get blown out by 40-some points to Buffalo. That you see twice a year.
How'd you know they weren't going to be a good football team when Brady left?
Okay, so something like this, real small. When we played the Patriots, we never were scared of the Patriots, right? They talk about he's a great defensive mind. We weren't scared to go against that defense. We were scared of Tom Brady. One thing about Tom Brady is he's always going to deliver. Touchdowns, red zone, completions, smart football, no offsides, no penalties. They were one of the most disciplined teams in football when Tom Brady was there. They always talk about was Belichick. When I look at there now, I don't see that. I see penalties everywhere. I don't want to hate on Belichick. I'm just keeping it real.
Keep it real,
I'm just keeping it real.
Joy, keep it real as well. You might disagree, but please keep it real.
The stats speak for themselves now.
The show is Speak now. The stats speak. Okay, they don't speak for themselves. We're disregarding that from our lives, okay? The stats speak.
Okay.
Joy, is Bill Belichick in trouble?
No, not at all. Mac Jones is hurt.
Yeah.
This is a really weird time to pounce on an organization. Pre that, we did pounce on them. I had no expectations of the Patriots this year. They made it to the playoffs last year with Mac Jones as a rookie.
They're a bad team, from what I hear, though. Made the playoffs. Bad team.
I mean, they weren't a great team, but they did make the playoffs. There were other teams that made the playoffs that did the exact same thing that the Patriots did.
Exactly.
Cowboys, Packers. Sorry. I'll have some drinks afterwards. But the point is, they made the playoffs last year with a rookie quarterback. They don't look good this year. They didn't look good this year before Mac Jones got hurt. So now, if anything, they have a grace period because their starting quarterback is not out there. What does trouble mean? Do we mean his legacy is in trouble? Absolutely not. I think we can see now more clearly than ever, Shady's point, that Tom Brady was more responsible for the legacy that the New England Patriots were for those 18 years, 20 years. He was more responsible for that. But that doesn't discredit the fact that Belichick was the coach for all of that time.
Very true.
And Tom Brady was not the Tom Brady he is now or the Tom Brady in the final years in New England at the beginning of his career. He developed and put in the work to become the greatest of all time. He didn't walk in the building that. He became that. He tells you that. He explains that. We all watched that. You didn't just wake up being the greatest of all time. That's what's so tremendous about Tom Brady's career. But it doesn't take anything away from Belichick being a great coach. Disrespect Bill Belichick if you want to. Aaron Rodgers certainly is not. Now, does Aaron Rodgers think he's going to go in there and beat them? Yeah, I think he does.
He's supposed to say that. He's a great coach.
I think he does. But when you look at what Bill Belichick has accomplished, I don't think it diminishes anything because you had the greatest player of all time playing quarterback for you.
Dave, when I think about trouble, I said this on September 7th, 2022, when the Patriots were healthy. I said Bill Belichick will be forced into retirement this season. Now, that's a little bit of a stretch, though it looks a lot more likely today than it did on September 7th. But I said Bill Belichick will be forced into retirement for this reason, Dave. Going to the playoffs and getting bounced is a victory for Nick Sirianni, Eagles head coach, in his first year. Going to the playoffs and getting bounced is not a victory for the greatest coach of all time because the bar is set higher. He's a prisoner of his own success. It happens to greats in any field. Ask LeSean McCoy. So I think he's in trouble just because this is looking as bad as it's looked for Belichick in a long time consistently. Where do you stand on it?
I'm glad you brought up September 7th because the way I was going to lead this off was by saying I just assume every few weeks we're going to do the Shady and Acho try to fire Bill Belichick segment. Like that's my assumption for the rest of the way.
Retire.
I'm sorry. Shady and Acho try to close the book on Bill Belichick's career. First of all, Belichick has done this before. And look, the Patriots look bad. And that's what I said back then. I said, what's trouble? Because I think of the Patriots as not a contender.
Right.
Now that we've seen something from the Jags, put the Patriots and maybe the Jets in a class of their own in terms of teams that we're just like completely writing off. And I mean, I'm not going to say it's okay, but it's what I expected. And look, I guess I just have to be the Brady hater on this show. I'm not hating Tom Brady. My point is, it is so harsh to judge a Patriots team that is completely starting over from a 20-year era of success to a quarterback that stepped onto a loaded team. The Bucs were 8-8 with a quarterback who threw 30 picks. Yes.
I think it was 35.
30. I'm sorry. Thank you, Joy. He stepped onto a team that had Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. They went and drafted Tristan Wirfs. They already had a legit defense. Devin White said that in this week 2 against the Saints. He was like, we had a loaded defense and a bad quarterback. We knew this is what we could do. So that's not a fair comparison, by the way. Just by the way. On top of that, this is what Belichick does. They started poorly last year. They rebounded to make the playoffs. What was it, 2017? The on to Cincinnati year? We're on to Cincinnati. And they were trying to close the book on the Patriots while Brady was still there? No, man, I'm not ready to do that.
I'll say this. So last year they went to the playoffs. We should be building on that, getting better and better. I don't see that, and we don't see that.
We all agree that last year was fool's gold, though, right?
No, you make it to the playoffs. You're the greatest coach of all time. And you look like that? That's all I'm saying. If you're so great of a coach, right, you're struggling to barely get in the playoffs. You get blown out when you get the playoffs by 40 points. Not the greatest coach of all time. That's all I'm saying.
This is where an all-time great player's legacy can cloud people's judgment. And look, he is the greatest of all time. Tom Brady is the greatest to ever do it.
Easy.
When he was still there, they got bounced in the first round of the playoffs by the Titans. That was our last memory of Tom Brady.
Not that bad.
Okay, that's not my point,
Not about 43
though.
points.
This was a flawed team when Brady was still there. And he left for greener pastures. More credit to him. The Patriots have a bit of a mess to clean up. They're not that good of a team.
Let me ask you this, because I agree. We can all agree the Patriots are flawed, but it just doesn't look like they're fixing their flaws anytime soon. If you really look closely, sometimes the players will whisper, and if you listen loud enough, it'll turn into a yell. Dante Hightower, Patriots Hall of Famer, soon to be. I was like, yo, why ain't Dante playing this year? And I looked, a free agent, 10-year player, just didn't want to go back. Patriots had the most players opt out during that bubble year, and I was just like, yo, what's going on in New England? So though the Patriots are flawed, Joy, it doesn't look like they're remedying those flaws anytime soon, and that's why I think they're in grave danger, because it doesn't look like they have a great coaching tree. Their coaches that have left, Mike McDaniel, offensive coordinator for the Patriots last year, the only team that's 0-3, he's head coaching. I don't see them remedying the solutions anytime soon.
Well, I think it's fair to question the decisions that Belichick has made, but we've been doing that for a long time. We've been doing that about his draft picks, to Dave's point, the weapons that they were surrounding Tom Brady with. We were talking about that. Why are they making these decisions? Why aren't they giving Tom Brady help? I believe part of the reason why Tom Brady left is because he didn't have more say in the offense and who was being brought in and didn't feel like he was being supportive. So he didn't accidentally wind up in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, right.
There was an intentional choice, as he should, because you want to play with better players and have more say if you're Tom Brady. So I do think how Bill Belichick is aging is fair to question. But I can't go crawling to dig the grave for Belichick and the Patriots after week 3 when Mac Jones just got hurt. So temporarily, we're going to look right. We're going to look right, and that's an easy win. That's a softball right now, Mac Jones having an injury.
But we looked right before Mac got hurt, when they lost to the Dolphins, before we knew that the Dolphins were all that good. The Dolphins' first-time head coach, Mike McDaniel, in his first game head coaching.
But they've had slow starts before. Lots of teams have slow starts and are able to turn it around. What my question is, what is trouble? He's going to be so awful this year that Robert Kraft's going to go to him and say, it's time to hang it up?
I'll say this, and Shady, Dave, chime in. What has Bill Belichick done outside of drafting Tom Brady that leads you to believe he can get himself out of this problem? I think that's the nucleus of the question. Like,
Coached
what has he done
with Tom Brady for 2 decades?
Correct. I said outside of.
Dominated a dynasty that we have never seen in the history of the NFL.
Outside of the greatest quarterback of all time. Like, if Tom Brady, which we all say you can't, Tom Brady's an anomaly. Tom Brady covers a multitude of sins. So outside of the anomaly, how can you look at Belichick and be like, man, I really trust this guy? He drafted 1 Pro Bowler since 2013, and I believe that was a punt.
But Belichick, the coach, and Belichick, the GM, should very much be separated and critiqued separately. Now, whether that is whether people want to do that or not, you can choose not to.
He drafts pretty good, though.
But you can't.
For the way he likes to coach? No, I would say that.
He's had some questionable draft decisions. But you can't just whittle it down to 1 or 2 years. Like, you have to look at the totality of Belichick's legacy when you're looking at this. And for that matter, what standard are you going by? Pete Carroll was fired. Pete Carroll was almost on the way out again before Russell Wilson got there, who now we're going to get the opportunity to see, was it Russ holding them back or was it Pete Carroll? We now get to see that happen. John Harbaugh was almost up out of there before Lamar Jackson got there. They talked about this. Like, we were not sure if we were going to keep him. You need a quarterback in order to win in this league. We know that. So I can't deduct points from Bill Belichick's legacy because he had the greatest quarterback of all time. And it takes some time to recover from losing the greatest player of all time.
Agreed, but we've now had, Dave, go ahead.
We don't.
They went to the playoffs last year with a rookie quarterback.
Blew out 40 points, and your defense specialist
got to the playoffs.
Hold on, real quick.
What about
they brag about how he's the greatest defensive coach of all time, right? You go to the playoffs and get blown out by 40 points. Real quick, Jamie Collins, when I was with the Buffalo Bills, he was their best player on defense, hands down.
Nice.
Belichick gets credit for doing so many crazy things. Like, he let him go. He didn't want to take a deal, so he cut him. You doing stuff like that because you got Tom Brady, because you know it doesn't really matter. Now that Tom Brady is gone, reality is set, is here. You can't win. You can't cut players like that and win games. He's struggling.
What does he get credit for? Did he not? Was it Belichick's defense that won that Super Bowl where
was it not?
We will never see another. We'll never see another era like that.
That was his defense.
Was that his defense?
That was Malcolm Butler.
Was that Malcolm Butler? Is that the sub that he made that made the interception from Russell Wilson?
Didn't they hold? They held the Rams. Actually, they did it twice. They held the Sean McVay Rams to 3 points in the Super Bowl. 20 years before that, they held the greatest show on turf.
Where is that now? Where is that now? Where is that now?
We're in a different cycle of the
Tom's
team.
gone. That's the difference.
Yes, of course.
You mean Teddy Bruschi, Willie McGinnis, and Vince Wilfork aren't playing on the team anymore? That's a shocking analysis.
But here's the point, though, is I hear both sides. I just don't know where this confidence in Belichick is coming from. It's not like he's drafted the next line of Brewskis and McGinnises and Ty Laws. It's not like I currently see Mac Jones being Lamar Jackson.
So what is he supposed to do every single year? He made it to the playoffs last year with a rookie quarterback. So Mac Jones is hurt right now. So we can admit that temporarily we're dancing around like we're right, but he's hurt. So we're going to look right and easy softball right.
He was 1-2 before Mac Jones got hurt.
So all the teams that are 1-2, you're counting out right now.
Not only that, but
the majority of them, yes.
Who are those losses? Who are those losses against? 2 of the what we would say are like the 5 or 6 best teams in the league?
Correct.
Okay.
It sounds eerily like I'm arguing that the Patriots are a good team, and I'm not.
Yeah.
And I don't think that the Patriots are contenders this year, and I don't even think that they factor into the scope of the NFL this year. They'll steal a couple games later on because it is Belichick. But the question is the question are the Patriots going to be good this year, or is the question is Bill Belichick a bad coach?
Good question.
I think your answer is answering your second question. If the Patriots aren't a contender this year, and the Patriots got blown out by 40 points last year, and the Patriots weren't a contender the year before without Tom Brady, how many years can you look at an organization that you've now written off this year? You wrote last year they got bounced, and the year before they didn't make any noise. How many years are you going to look and be like, yeah, but Belichick? That's what I'm saying.
2 whole years
and this is the
Tom Brady left. We're 3 games into the 3rd year, and Mac Jones is hurt.
And they were also relevant the 2 years before that.
But before Mac got hurt, you said you didn't anticipate the Patriots making any noise this year.
No, Sure, but I could be wrong. But
Sure.
we don't know now. we don't know, and we won't know because Mac is hurt. So that's what I'm saying. This is a softball. This is a meatball right down the middle. Mac is hurt, so we are going to look right now.
So before he got hurt, on like the last player or something like that. So before he got hurt, what did the Patriots look like as a team? I'm asking you guys.
They look like a team without a lot of offensive firepower and honestly a decent defense.
With the greatest coach of all time. You see what I'm saying? Like, if I put a guy like Rex Ryan over there, right? Would it look the same? It'll be the same. The difference is when Tom Brady is gone, this is the real him. This is the real coach. You're not the greatest of all time. You take Tom Brady out of there, and you just like the regular guys. You just like the Steelers. You just like the Jets. You like them guys.
Amazing analysis that quarterback levels the playing.
Mike Tomlin is a Super Bowl winning coach. He has never had a losing season. He just lost Ben Roethlisberger. How many years are we giving him before we're like, oh, this was really just Ben? I'm going to give him more than 3 years.
But Mike never had a losing Mike never.
Mike ain't blown about on 40 points in the playoffs.
Even
the
with
Steelers got their asses kicked last year.
By the Chiefs? That was a close game for a little bit.
Destroyed. I'll never forget it because it's the Cleveland Browns. It was Baker Mayfield's only playoff win.
Didn't the Browns have like a 28-point quarter in that game?
I mean,
wild.
We got to go. It's getting spicy on desk, and it's getting spicy in Dallas. I appreciate your honesty, Shady.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.